Welcome to the Webb Report. My name is Stuart Webb. Tonight we're going to talk about Tucker Carlson and Professor Zhang, or whatever his name is, and their open call, their very calm, reasonable call for a new world order. We're going to go ahead and play this clip, then we'll talk about it.
If you were the commander-in-chief of the United States, what would you do at this point, as of today?
Commander-in-Chief meaning Donald Trump?
Yeah, you get to make the decision. What does America do next if it's acting in its own interest, if it's trying to preserve its power and wealth at this point? What does it do?
Well, first of all, I would acknowledge that all these events are interconnected, right? So this trade war with China, this war in Ukraine, this war in the Middle East, it's all interconnected because the American empire is too overstretched and it has its fingers on everything. And so it allows its enemies to provoke it into these never-ending wars. So what I would do is basically sit down everyone, okay, including Russia, China, Iran, and say, it's time for a new world order where we are partners in this relationship, right? Before America was the hegemon, before the US dollar was the world reserve currency. But now what we want to do is open a dialogue where everyone is respected, where America is no longer the bully, but a willing partner in creating a new economic order that benefits everyone and not just a few.
I think that's the wisest possible advice and probably the only path that preserves civilization.
Okay, so Tucker Carlson has just openly admitted that the only path to preserving civilization is getting rid of national sovereignty of all the nations and creating a global government. So yeah, there you go. And so this is what the elite, this evil cabal, this is what they do, is that they create the chaos and the crises across the world for decades and decades and decades. It's generational until they create so much chaos, and then they come in until they create this chaos to the point where we really can't go on, we can't continue like this, and then they say, well, the solution is we need a global government that we control, even though we created the problem. We need a global government where you have no natural rights, your natural rights are not preserved. Do you think in this global government that they're calling for, this crisis that they created that they're using to set up this new world order, you think you're going to have your First Amendment rights? You think you're going to have your, religious rights, freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, the freedom to petition your government for grievances, and to print and disseminate your thoughts, freedom of press? You think you're going to have those things? Nope. No, you're not. And just go down the list. So we need to be against this. There's no way that a new world order is being created to protect your natural rights. It's not going to happen. The entire point is to get rid of everyone's natural rights. Okay? The solution is each country protecting and preserving the natural rights of their citizens and acting with diplomacy between nations, acting in a reasonable manner between nations, in a peaceful manner, and then from there you can create lasting relationships with nations, free trade. You can create a peaceful world that way. You don't create a peaceful world by creating chaos, violating everyone's natural rights, taking everyone's natural rights and then saying the only solution to fixing the chaos we created is you now have to do exactly what we say for your own benefit to keep you safe. Okay, that's what they want to set up. That's why there is economic crisis, all these wars being started. They want chaos everywhere so that they can bring in their order, their new world order, which apparently to Tucker Carlson, this guy that was a friend of liberty, liberty lover, right wing champion for liberty. Yeah, he's just saying the only path forward is a new world order. I mean, this is just. I mean, it's just so in your face. And then this professor, why are we even interviewing this professor that's just suddenly got really popular in like a month, 2 months? And he's being interviewed, but apparently he's also living in China, and we're supposed to believe that it just seems we're supposed to believe this is an organic thing, that this professor is just suddenly extremely popular, and now everyone wants to interview him because he's made maybe accurate predictions about what's going on. Well, what about all the conspiracy theorists that said this was going to happen for the last 30, 40 years? We've been saying this. I've been saying this basically since 2011, 2012. And here we are now. It's the only path forward is that we need to give up our natural rights, including the most basic freedom of religion, freedom of speech. These are the most basic to living in a meaningful society, and exercising and basically being your own person, being an individual, being able to speak your mind. They're going to get rid of that. That's what a new world order means. You won't have that anymore. Okay? It's just very frustrating. I know this is this interview is like 13 days ago. Okay? That's like light years old now because we live in this 1 hour news cycle where if it's an hour old, or if it came out an hour ago, it's old news. Okay? But I really needed to I needed to talk about this because this is so frustrating that we went from the elite, this evil cabal is not trying to set up a new world order, a global government where we don't have any rights, where we have to maybe not only do we are going to have our rights taken from us, but then we're going to be forced into worshiping maybe something that we disagree with and doing things we disagree with. Yeah, it's not just that they're going to take your rights away, it's that they're going to force you and coerce you into doing things that are wrong. And so we need to be against this. We need to stand against this. We need to just not accept it. No, we're not going to participate in this new world order that they're now calling for. I mean, it's really sad. Tucker Carlson, I mean, look, if you are being promoted by the big corporations and even what appears to be the alternative media, and you're getting millions and millions of views and millions of subscribers, you should be suspect of those people. Okay, I'm not saying they're all bad, but just be suspect because the elites, they control these platforms. So even if they appear to be an alternative to the mainstream, just be skeptical, judge them by their fruits. And look, Tucker, I've been skeptical of Tucker for many, many years. Even though, he says some things you can say things that I agree with, and even say them in a way that I can get, I can agree with your perspective and opinion in that, in certain instances, but overall as a person, do I trust Tucker? No. And that's kind of how I judge all these pundits and commentators, regardless of mainstream or alternative or whatnot. I am trying to judge them by their fruits. And Tucker has been around. I mean, do you remember Tucker when he interviewed Britney Spears on CNN? I think it was when he was like a CNN host back in the early 2000s. He's been around a long time, guys. And then you've seen a huge shift in Tucker, and for me, like, it just doesn't ring genuine. It doesn't seem genuine. It seems like he's an operative, and I think that's been kind of exposed. That he's just, over the last few years, he's definitely an operative. He's being placed in front of us as like this very reasonable, well-spoken person, which he is, and so that he can promote a certain agenda, and that will say, well, Tucker's reasonable, he's well-spoken. Tucker just said, well, if the only path forward is civilization, is sitting down with all the nations and creating a new world order where we get rid of all your rights. Yeah, he didn't say that part, but that's what it means, okay? He just made that sound very reasonable. I mean, he just said, well, of course, it's the only path to preserving civilization. Of course we need to start a new. I think that's very wise. But yet we were called crazy for saying, hey, this new world order that they're trying to set up, we should stand against it, and we should be aware of it, and we should, I mean, we should, at bare minimum, question known liars, and be skeptical of people trying to push this, and judge people by their fruits. And if the fruits are consistently bad, maybe we should just not trust these people anymore. So this is kind of old news because it's like 2 weeks old, but like I just had to talk about this because we have Tucker Carlson saying that this random professor from China that just got popular on YouTube, who's calling for a new world order, basically, literally calling for it. Tucker just said, yeah, this guy, we should listen to this guy. He's really wise. We should definitely set up a global government. That's the really wise thing to do. Because that's for sure. We're definitely going to preserve freedom and liberty by doing that. Yeah, sure. Okay. So really disappointing. But again, you should not, don't trust in the arm of flesh. Judge people by their fruits. And we need to be against this new world order that has been, hey, remember George H.W. Bush he called for it 30 years ago in one of his presidential speeches. And so they've been planning this thing for a long time, okay? And it's about control. They don't want people to have liberty, which means they don't want people to have their natural rights respected and protected. They don't want that. And anyone who supports violating someone's natural rights, like freedom of speech, go down the list. Okay? Right to self-defense, right to impartial, right to a free and fair trial by an impartial jury of your peers, right against cruel and unusual punishment. All these natural rights, due process of law, right to life, all these things. If you don't support that, then that's an issue, because we have inalienable rights given to us by God. So if you want to violate those things, there's a problem, because you can't, because we have self-evident rights that you cannot take away, no matter how much you want to. You might be an evil person that says, I really don't like that opinion. I don't like your opinion, so we need to put you in jail because I don't like your opinion. Sorry, that's not going to fly. You don't have that. You don't have the right to violate other people's rights, natural rights. You just don't. So if we're going to move forward in a civil society that's worth a society worth living in, we have to respect everyone's natural rights. So let's stop bombing countries that didn't attack us. Let's stop creating chaos to distract everyone and to create chaos so people will submit to evil. Let's just stop doing that. Let's stop supporting it, and let's actually have a good, wholesome society worth living in, instead of this stupid New World Order that Tucker Carlson's now calling for. That's all I got for you on this one.